and let you get started.
Okay, thanks, Danny. Well, I'm just going to tell you briefly about our relationship with PhotoBiz. We've been with them for about 5 years, and currently we have 4 websites with them, and we've just can't say enough good things about PhotoBiz, and I just really enjoyed the community and looking at all of the new products that they've come up with in the last 5 years, and so I'm sure most of you can agree with that, being that most of you are probably PhotoBiz customers, how great they are. So we know we couldn't operate our business as successfully without them. So, but as you can see on the opening screen here, my name is Monica Burby and my husband's Jake, and we run these couple companies together. Our photography company is called PhotoUmbra Studios, and you can link to most of our photography websites. We have some different genres that we focus on with different websites, and those, almost all of them, can be accessed from photoumbra.com. And then the Facebook page that most of our photography goes through would be our high school senior page, which would just be PhotoUmbra Seniors. So you're welcome to join in on there. We have a lot of senior fans, but we also have a lot of photographers that follow us on there, and we always love the feedback that we get from the community. And then our other company we'll talk about in a minute, but it's Studio Thought Sauce, and you can also find us on Facebook at Studio Thought Sauce, and that's a good way to get in touch with us too if you have any questions about the webinar or anything like that. So I'm going to get started. I just wanted to show a few pictures of the outside of our home. We built our home in 2003, so about 9 years ago, and we built it with the intent of having a photography studio, but at the time we were just barely transitioning into digital. We didn't really understand the potential that our studio had as far as operating out of a home, and so there's a lot of things that we wish we would have done differently when we built our home. And so if you're at that situation where you're able to build or build onto, hopefully some of the lessons that we've learned can help you out today, but we'll go through those more in a minute. So I'm just going to give you a little background on me and the studio. I've been shooting fairly seriously since college, and that was about 18 years ago, and about 4 years of that I taught at a local college. I taught photography. And again, that was before digital came around, so it was a whole different ball game when we switched to digital. And I've just, I was hesitant at first to go into digital, but I've just exploded ever since. Our business has, and now I can't imagine going back. But in 2004, we decided to open our own business, and we kind of coincided that with some family changes. We had built our first home, like I said, the year before, and my husband and I wanted to start a family, and so it just made sense that where I couldn't teach anymore and I wanted to be home more with my child, that we would start the business. So we kind of did it out of convenience for our family life. And since then, we've added 2 part-time employees, and they come in and they help a lot with the shoots. I usually have an assistant out on shoots with me, and that's helpful. And then they also do some of our blog writing and some of our post-production and packaging and things like that. But most of the client interaction is just me. I do the ordering appointments, and I usually am the one that does the consultations and the shootings. So we're still very small. I would consider ourselves branded as a boutique studio. We do about 110 to 120 sessions a year, so we average about 2 or 3 a week, and obviously that fluctuates with the seasons, especially with the high school seniors, but it's a nice average for us. It's a point where we feel like we can be successful and make the money that we want, and also have a life that we want. So our primary focus is high school seniors. That's about 70% of our business, and then the other 30% would be a mix of families and children. And a lot of our clients are actually families of our high school seniors, and so we piggyback a lot of business off of that main source of revenue. Last summer, we had the honor of being featured in Professional Photographer, and they featured our home studio, and just was talking about, it was a great article about design, and they featured a few other studios from around the country, and that was the June edition. So if any of you guys want to check it out, I believe they have PDF versions of that online that you can view. And so if you're looking for more inspiration outside of even just what we have, there was, I believe, 4 other studios that were featured, and all of them had some excellent ideas. So you can check that out. Like I said, our other passion that we have is teaching other photographers, and specifically we feel that we've kind of been through the trenches with home studios, so that's something that a lot of our products focus on. And our website, studiothoughtsauce.com, and you can view all of our different items and products and ideas there. We'll be taking a lot of this webinar from a little workbook that we produced last year. It's called the Studio Inspiration Guide, and it's 6 chapters. I've got those listed here, and it's a workbook feel, so it's interactive, and if you're interested in picking that up, we'll give you some information at the end, but you'll get a lot of information out of this guide today during the webinar. So the first thing that I want to go over is your holdbacks. What are the things that you feel are holding you back in your current situation? I am imagining that people listening, our situations probably range anywhere from you are a photographer, but you're maybe not even set up officially yet, and you want to open up a studio out of your home, all the way to people that may be listening that have commercial spaces or retail spaces. So there's a big gamut of where we are at as photographers. But for you specifically, if you can take a moment to make a list of your holdbacks. I think having your challenges written down in front of you is really important, and that way you can look at them logically and sort of focus on those one by one and overcome those. So hopefully there's some tips today that can help you overcome some of your holdbacks. Some holdbacks that you might have is perhaps some of you don't have a studio at all right now. Maybe you feel that your clients don't take you seriously because you work out of your home. Maybe you feel like you just don't have enough time to do it all. Maybe you don't have enough money to convert your home or to purchase the type of equipment that you feel would make you more successful. Maybe you have limited space. And so I'm going to tell you a few of our holdbacks that we've had. First of all, we live in a private gated community, and I would suggest that before you open up a business out of your home that you look at your zoning, talk to your city, and make sure that you are zoned to operate a business out of your home. We're located just outside of Salt Lake City, and we're in a pretty big community. And with photography not being chemical related, so without the chemicals that we used to have in the darkroom and things like that, there aren't very many restrictions on the home use in Utah. When we did have a darkroom, there were some restrictions just due to the hazardous materials, but since we've gotten rid of that, excuse me, you can pretty much operate out of your home with hardly any problems at all. However, our HOA does have some restrictions. We've been able to work with them really well and get around that. So just make sure when you're setting yourself up, if you're new at this, that you do that research and make sure that you're operating in a capacity that meets with all the laws and requirements of your area. Our community does have pretty strict regulations. We're not allowed to have any signage. Because we are a gated community, we really have no drive-by traffic, so we have no hope of advertising out of our home or anything like that as far as like a visual signs or anything. We can't have any street parking, so all of our clients have to park in a driveway or park outside of our gate and walk in, which isn't usually a problem except for when we have big events, and we have been able to pull off some pretty big events out of our home, and just have people guided, by balloons and things like that from the outside gate into our home. So we've been able to work around it, but it is still kind of a challenge. And probably our biggest challenge is that our camera room is located in our basement, and we have no separate entrance. When we built this home, we were fairly newly married and just starting a family, and it was our first home, and we just didn't have the money and maybe the foresight to invest in some of the things that I wish we would have invested in, and a separate entrance into our camera room would have definitely been a worthwhile investment looking back. So if you're able to do that, I definitely would. So our clients do have to walk through our entire home to enter our camera room. So that's a big challenge for us. But we're going to talk about how we've converted our home and kind of transformed it to be a positive thing. And we've been able to work around that successfully. One of the other challenges that we have is that we only have 8-foot ceilings in our camera room. I've had some people email me and say, I wish I had 8-foot ceilings, that they've been stuck with 7-foot ceilings. So I guess, it's all relative, but for us, 8-foot, it works okay, but it's not ideal, and it's been hard to fit larger groups in our area. So we usually try to encourage our larger groups or larger families to let us photograph them either at their homes or, of course, on location. So that's a little bit of a challenge, is the 8-foot ceiling. And then our space is relatively small. Our entire home is only about 3,000 square feet. 800 of that we use 100% for business, and about another 700 or 800 square feet we use about 50% for business. It's split pretty equally for business and home use, so we don't have a huge area. But again, I've had people say they wish that they had that much space. So these are some things that we're going to go over. First of all, how to create a professional experience in your home. We're going to talk about how to share your work and family space. We're going to talk about how to achieve balance and how to get the most out of your shooting space. We'll talk about some storage ideas, and then finally we'll finish off with what is success and some tips on how you can define your own success. So let's talk first about creating a professional experience from home. This is a question we get a lot from other photographers. How can I possibly charge X amount, when I'm working from my home? And these are some tips that we'll go over that can give you the confidence. The first thing that I'll say is I think a lot of us do have misconceptions about how a home-based business can be professional. And I think a lot of the misconceptions actually start with us. And we have to be careful that we are not the ones projecting this misconception upon our clients. And so a lot of this will come from your own attitude. A lot of professionalism will come from your own attitude. And you need to be very, be confident in your situation. For some of us, being in a home studio is a necessity. For some, it's a choice. For us, at this stage in the game, it's more of a choice. We could afford a retail space if we wanted to, but we really like to keep our clientele to about 2 or 3 a week. It just doesn't make sense for us because we're not super high volume to try and maintain a retail space. Financially, it would not be smart for us, and I just didn't, for me, the work associated with that was not something I want to do at this stage of my life with a young child. So for us, I do have confidence in the studio. We've put a lot of work into it. It's taken a lot of years to get to that point, but my clients, I think, really can pick up on that. So just make sure that you are projecting the professional image that you want with your attitude. And one of the ways that you can do that really effectively is that you need to hold yourself and your clients to a professional standard. So just make sure that you have a lot of policies in place, that you have a policy for rescheduling at the last minute, if there, if you have penalties for that. And if you're handling things, I think, professionally, you have policies, you have paperwork that you're sending them that they need to sign and agree to, that it helps keep your clients on task, and it helps keep you on task as well. Make sure that you invest in some nice printed materials that your clients can hold and take home. This is something that I think sets you apart from maybe just somebody who's doing this really casually or maybe somewhat unofficially. And then make sure that you are legit on paper. And what I mean by that is that you have properly registered with your city for your business license, that you've registered with your state for your sales tax, and then the federal, that you're all legit on paper. That will help you stay professional because you are responsible for keeping paperwork and records, and all of those things kind of will help keep you on track as a professional. So make sure that you do that. And then treat your space in a professional manner, and you need to make sure that your space is clean. I think that could be a big problem if you are working out of your home and your home isn't very clean. For me personally, I feel that would not be very professional. I wouldn't mind going into someone's home for a professional service, even a massage or something of that nature that was clean, the decor was appropriate, they had policies in place, and those kind of things. So just put yourself in their shoes. What would you expect out of a home-based business, and then reflect that in your own environment. Make sure that it smells good. We've all heard that, but that is something you have to consider, is not cooking stinky eggs or fish or something before a client comes over. That's one of the hassles, I think, of being in a home studio environment, but it's just a trade-off that you kind of have to deal with. And then one advantage that we have as photographers is that we have the ability to create some beautiful artwork, and I think that that's really important, that you feature some beautiful pieces, the same kind of pieces that you would like to sell your clients and see in their homes. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in more detail. And one thing that I find that helps us, that really started to set us apart a few years ago, is that we developed a set of defined experiences for our clients. And we call this our client wow flow. And this is a set of 7 contact points that we have with each one of our clients, and each contact point that we have with them will reflect our brand, our policies, and our products, and then that also helps convey our professionalism to them. So we're going to talk about the client wow flow fairly briefly, because I think there's really so much there that we could probably spend a whole webinar on it, but we'll just touch on these points. And if you want to know more, we do have a whole chapter in our book about this, and then I'm happy to also answer any questions if you have those afterwards too. So the client wow flow, like I said, we have 7 points. You can customize that depending on how you'd like to operate your business. Our first one that we have is our website and our online presence. This usually is the first way that our clients connect with us. They'll either do a random web search, or they'll be a Facebook fan and then go to our website. And so just make sure that all of your avenues, your web presence, are consistent. So your website, your blog, your Facebook page, your splash page, all of those can be consistent. And that's where PhotoBiz, I think, is so useful, is that they provide everything, and all of it is so easily customizable. You can make everything match really beautifully with minimal work. So the second point is usually we get a phone call or an email or a text. And one thing I wanted to point out that's really helped us is make sure that on your contact forms online that you have the phone number checked as a requirement. We used to not have this, so we would get a lot of random emails, and I don't know if it's different for everybody else, but for us, when we would send an email, it was kind of like just, sending the information away into space. We had no way of really following up with them, no way of really connecting with them one-on-one, where a phone number to me is really important. I figure if they're not willing to include a phone number with their message, then they maybe aren't that serious anyway. And I usually will include is this phone with texting, and that's also really helpful, especially where we photograph a lot of high school seniors. Texting is kind of our primary mode of communicating with them. And what I usually do is just send a little text to them before I call them, usually when I know that they'll probably be getting out of school, and just say, hey, I got your inquiry. I'd love to chat with you about some fun ideas for your session. When is a good time for me to call? Don't ever rely on them to call you. So just a little tip, make sure that you have that phone number required. And me personally, I'll book a lot higher percentage with a phone number in place than if I was just sending out random information to an email address. We do offer a consultation to our clients. That's included in each one of our sessions. We also will take the time to do a consultation even without a session booked. If they're interested enough to make an appointment to come in and talk about our photography and talk about their needs, then we'll book about 90% of consultations where they have not booked, but they've come in and met with us. So I'm definitely willing to take that extra hour to meet them. It's a great time for us to showcase some of our products to them, and also share some little tasks and homework with them. This goes more in the line of those who have already booked us that come in for a consultation. And just also, we have a consultation checklist that we have for free on our Facebook page. So if you just go to facebook.com/Studio Thought Sauce, you'll be able to see a freebies tab, and there's a consultation checklist that you can customize for your own needs, and it just goes through some things to include for your consultation that may be useful. So one of the things that we include at our consultation that's been a really big hit, especially amongst our family portrait clients, which, like I said, that only amounts to about 30%, but we really feel like where the families are concerned, we really want to try to get in those big wall portraits for them. And so this is a little portrait design guide that we've developed, and it's got 14 ideas of wall arrangements, and they range anywhere from really large groupings to very small, 3 or 4 8x10s, that kind of a thing. And it has a little homework sheet at the end and a little tape measure that we have that they can take home with them and measure their spaces that they would like to feature their artwork, and then they bring that back to their ordering appointment, and we go through that with them. And if you have Pro Select, you can even take this a little further and have them take a picture of the spaces and then include that in your presentation to them during your sales appointment. But this has been a fun thing. It helps them feel invested. So right off the bat, they're taking home something that they think, wow, a lot of times I think for our clients don't even think about what they're going to buy. They just think about that they need some photographs. And so this is a great way for us to kind of push them in the direction of wall grouping, which for us is one of the more profitable products that we would sell. The fourth point of contact that we have in our WOW flow is the session. And the session we Always try to be on time, of course. That's really important. I may have been late to like one session in all my years, but I really try not to be. I think that that's really important in establishing your professionalism. I can't imagine as a client if I'm spending $200 or $300 on just the session. I want my photographer there on time. So make sure that you're on time. Make sure that you're ready to go and your equipment is as ready to go as it can be. And I just wanted to share a few little things that we do for our sessions that have made a big impact. And one of the things that's kind of silly, but a lot of our clients really like it, is we produce these little welcome signs, and we have a little, we have a do-it-yourself section in the guide that we sell, and this is one of them. And it's a really cheap way to do something fun for your clients. And so we go to secondhand stores and we buy these various frames, and then we spray them different colors, and then we'll do the backing we'll spray with chalkboard paint, and then we're able to do a little sign on it. And we usually have this on our front door, or we have a cute little mannequin that we set outside that we'll put this on, or just as they walk in the studio or on the dressing room door or something like that. And I just thought I'd share this little review that we got on Facebook from one of our high school seniors, that she went out of her way to mention this. She says, I remember walking into the studio and they had a cute little chalkboard that said, "Welcome, Brittany." So this little tiny sign was made an impact on this 17-year-old, that she was actually remembering this and writing that in her review of us several months later. So it's an inexpensive way to make your clients feel special. And we have had, especially when we do younger children that love the signs so much, that we'll just gift them to them after the shoot. I think our total investment in these frames are like maybe $2 or $3, so it's really minimal. We also have some custom water bottles. We do these very inexpensively. In fact, we'll have a little tiny blurb about it in Professional Photographer in May that talks about this. But we basically just get water bottles at any store, and then we remove the labels ourselves, and then we apply a sticker that we have printed at, you can get them printed almost anywhere. We use White House Custom Color or Black River Imaging. We had to some of our stickers that are scalloped, like the Lux stickers, I guess is what they call them, and put those on. And it's a little thing, it's very inexpensive, but our clients comment about it all the time. They just say, "Oh, how cute," and I've had some keep them and not drink out of them, so they can take them home and keep them for some reason. They have our website and our phone number on it, so it's kind of a fun little thing. And then if you're able to put together a little appointment reminder card, we have one that is nice. It has on one side, it talks about the ordering session. That's what I'm talking about, an appointment reminder card that you can give them at the session about their ordering session, especially if you're doing in-person ordering, but it could also work if you're doing online viewing, maybe a little reminder about how long they have to order and those kind of things. But on the other side, we put a little wish list, and again, listing our products, some of the things that are really popular, and that way they can, use the little checkbox if it's something that they have for a wish list, or a little area where they can put prints for relatives or things like that. So there's a lot of fun ideas out there that you can use, but I've found that it's kind of a nice tip. At the end of the appointment, I have a little envelope for them, and they can take that home with them, and it just has a reminder about their appointment on it. Okay, so the next point of contact is usually our ordering appointment. We try to do that within 1 week of their session. I recommend doing that as close to the session as you can, and that way you're capitalizing on some of the excitement. I've had a lot of people ask me if we do sneak peeks on Facebook. We have done it in the past. We do it for our models, our senior model team, but we actually don't do it anymore for just our standard clientele. just because I really want them to be super excited, really coming into the session with, or the ordering appointment with, you know, just a lot of anticipation. So like I said, we usually schedule this within 7 to 10 days. And we always have snacks and beverages out. I think that makes a difference. Some of our clients, you know, love it, and some don't really care about it. But I always like to make the environment seem really hospitable, have cold drinks, and offer them something when they arrive. And then make sure that you have a lot of applicable samples displayed. So if you're trying to push your larger wall portraits, make sure that you have some. If you'd like to sell more canvas wraps, make sure you get some nice canvas wraps, albums, jewelry, whatever it is that you're hoping to sell. We all know that rule. You sell what you show, so I think that's very true. We've also all probably heard about the senses, so I'm not going to go into that too much, but I'll just reiterate making sure everything's clean, smelling good, and then I recommend having a printed menu. I think that's really, really important. I know some photographers that have a beautifully printed, almost like a folio, or a full album with all of their products. I think that's a great idea. We personally don't. We have a 8.5 by 11 folded menu, but it is professionally printed. It's on hard cardstock, and it has gloss on the outside, and then a little spot on the inside where they can actually check the products that they want and make notes. I find, me personally, a lot of my clients have a hard time placing an order unless they can write things down. And I'm kind of the same way. I really like to, when I'm putting something together, like kind of building a package or figuring out how much I want to spend. For me personally, I feel a lot more empowered when I have something to write on. So we provide a pen for them, and then also like I said, the menus are theirs that they can write on. They can circle things, and that's been really, really helpful for us. But I've seen it done both ways, where there's like a master menu and one that maybe they can have. So that's mostly up to you and your personal preference. One of the things in our consultation checklist that we encourage is that you have a plan, and I think this is really important. Come up with a product or two, and you should already know a product or two that this client may be interested in because you've had a consultation with them, or at the very least you've taken the time during your session to talk to them about some of the products. One of the products that is our biggest seller is what we call our Brag Mag, and it's an 8x10 glossy magazine. It's a soft cover, and I know I'll get a lot of people asking, so I'll just tell you I get that printed at blurb.com. It's about $30, and we feature about 15 of our clients' favorite photographs. This is a big seller for our high school seniors. It's something that they will take with them to college. Most importantly, it's something that they will sneak into high school and show all of their friends. So last year I had a boy take his, and I booked 2 sessions, and 3 of our models this year were all booked because of that one Brag Mag that he took to his school and showed off. So it's a great product, and I do try to sell that to most of my seniors because they're going to have to purchase 15 poses to get that, as well as the magazines. So they're going to be into their package pretty good about where I want them to be financially with that product. So it's something that I kind of have a plan for. Sometimes I'll even design a cover for them and show that to them at the ordering appointment, and just say, here, I don't know if you're interested in this product, but this is something that I've designed for you. What do you think? And that'll usually sell them on it right away, get them excited about the product. So have a plan ahead of time. Order pickup is the 6th point of contact. And again, with us being a home-based business, we have to have everything by appointment. And so make sure that you have a time set aside for your client to come by, and I always check with them before they arrive to make sure that whether they're just able to, whether they're there to just grab it and run, or if they're going to have a few minutes to sit down and look through everything with me, and so I can get a feel and I know what to prepare for. It's important to communicate with them to see what their schedule's like. Included in our order, this is also available in our shop, but I've seen quite a few different versions of this, but we offer a set of 4 client care cards that fit inside their order, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from these little cards. They're not anything much. As you can see, they don't include tons of text or anything like that, but we have a card that talks about the copyright info and just gives them some guidelines of what they can and cannot do with their photographs. And we have, on the opposite side of that is their portrait care tips, and it just talks about how to properly care for their photograph and their images. And then we have a referral card that will slip in there that talks about our referral program, and then a little thank you note that we include. And then they can't tell you that they didn't know what your copyright information was because you included it right with their portraits. The 7th point of contact is our follow-up. This is usually done about a week after they pick up their order. I especially make sure I do this if they've weren't able to go through the order with me at their pickup. If they were just wanting to hurry and pick it up, I'll call them and just say, hey, I just want to make sure everything's great with your order. If there's anything we can help you on, how does everything look and feel in your home? Did we get you the right sizes and those kind of things? And I would say about 20% of the time I get additional orders off of that phone call. And I'll usually get an order for a grandparent or something like that. They'll say, my mom came over and she saw this image and she loves it. Would it be okay if I order an extra, 8x10 or such and such off this? So I would say, about 1 out of 5 of those calls we end up placing additional orders. So it's worth the time. And then at that time we also encourage them to give us a testimonial. We have an online form that they can do that really simply. If you're with Google Places, I would recommend directing them. We're fairly newly set up with that, but we've been trying to get our clients to go on there and leave us reviews because that will help your search engine ranking. And it's also a great time to ask for referrals if there's anyone else. And a lot of times I like doing this after they've had their portraits for a little while because they've had friends come over or siblings and they've made comments about that they would like some photographs done of that kind, and you can sometimes get some referrals that way too. So I think it's important. It's that final cherry on top of the ice cream, I guess you could say, where you're just solidifying your professionalism. Excuse me. Okay, so Space Wars. We're going to talk about how to create solutions that are livable. I find that everything that we do as a home studio has to have dual functionality. It has to be really maximized to the fullest extent. And then is your design and your usage of your space, does it make an impact? So we'll go through those few things here. And I better hurry because we're already 45 minutes in. So I'm going to take you on a very quick tour of our space. Also, if you want to see a video tour of our space, you can view that at studiothoughtsauce.com/tour, and that'll take you through our whole space. So this is our entryway. It's not very big, about 65 square feet. To the right of the door when they walk in, we have this little bench and a 3-foot by 4-foot metal mural. And we've only had that for about a week, and I've already had lots of comments on that. So create something when they first enter your home that not only features your artwork, but something that is going to make a big impact and get some wows out of them. Like I said, we have little pieces of decor and the welcome signs that are also in our entryway. Our sales room is fortunately located just right inside our front door, and it's about 120 square feet. And I love that it's there because I don't have to clean my entire house when I have our ordering appointments. And so if you are designing, that's something to keep in mind. This is our consultation, or our view and choose room as we call it. We've got a large screen TV in there. We're not able to do projection, as you can see, because of the wide open feel of the room, and also we just have tons of windows, so we would never be able to block off the light. You can see our samples, frame samples. As you continue down the hall straight, this is if clients will be going into our studio. They're going to pass these little art niches. We, in all of our common areas, we feature work of just our family. They're still photographs, so they still can inspire our clients to purchase, wall groupings. Or this photograph of my daughter on the blue wall here is very large. I think it's almost 50 by 70 portrait, and I get a lot of wows on that one, and I've even sold a couple of that size because of that piece. So as they continue into the common area, they pass this little area. As they go downstairs, they'll pass another wall grouping, again, my daughter, and to the right is where they'll enter our studio, and to the left is our offices. Talk about my office real quick. A lot of people are always curious, how you have it set up. These are a couple little areas of our office. The area on the right is some desk space for my daughter. She's 7, and she'll come down and do her homework here while I finish up some of my work for the day. We also included a little packaging area in our office, which I absolutely love. And we have another little desk here for our assistant who would come in. And so it's not a very big space, 120 square feet or so, but we're able to, or no, about 217 square feet, but we're able to include almost everything we need in that space. Let's talk camera room here. Our camera room is about 300 square feet. I'm lucky because it is long, so I'm able to pull back quite a ways. I've got 25 feet that I can pull back on certain shots. Our 8-foot ceilings never require me to do that, but it is possible if I need to. We have about a 70 square foot, really long, skinny storage closet that's connected to it, which is great. I'm glad that we have it. Of course, I wish it was more. It's not really big enough to fit furniture in, but it's big enough to fit our extra equipment that we take out on location and fabrics and those kind of things. This is a seating area that also doubles as a set. You can see just a view as you walk into the studio here. I had a lot of emails after our last webinar on equipment, and so I'm just going to go through our equipment really quick. We use strobes because we're in the basement. We do have quite a few windows down there, but we just needed the wall space way more than we needed that natural light. And the natural light was not significant enough anyway, so there really was no point in keeping the windows. So we've covered the windows just with our backdrops. And if I were to recommend what to buy, I really like alien bees. We've had them for a lot of years and never had 1 second of problems with anything. And their customer service is excellent as well. I would recommend getting 1 or 2 AB 400s or 800s. 800 is maybe a little more on the powerful side than you might need. Me personally, I actually have 2 800s and 2 1600s. 1600 is way overkill for a home studio of our size. The reason I have those is because we used to do weddings and really big corporate events, and I needed those for the really big group shots. Oh, apparently. Okay, I lost my view here. Let's see. Let's go back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on. Interesting. Let's go back here. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Soft boxes, we have a few different ones. We have a large 3x4, which is probably my favorite. We have some small ones that we'll put up above for some hair lights. A lot of times we'll just bounce light off of the ceiling for hair light, although it can kind of light up the whole scene too much, so just be careful with that. I like grids also. I like to use those for certain types of lighting. So a pretty just general gamut, I would say. Reflectors are very, very important in a home studio, in my opinion, because it's not always easy to get your lights in the spaces that you want. In our 300 square foot area, we have 8 or 9 permanent, I guess I should say semi-permanent sets, where we have backdrops that are up, and a lot of those will be in the corners, and I'm not able to light exactly how I would want, where I would have an extra light in the corner, and so we'll just pop in a reflector to kick in a little bit of fill light, and it works great. My favorite one is the PhotoFlex light disc oval. It's very large, but I like it because it can stand up on its own. I kind of just lean it right up against the wall, and the soft gold and white is my favorite. We use Pocket Wizard's flex system with some Alien Bee adapters to trigger our lights. We also use those on location with our speed lights, so they work great for both. My favorite backdrop size is 8 by 8, 8 foot high, obviously because our ceilings are 8 foot high, so it's a perfect match. And then 8 foot wide, I find, is enough space that I can really, you know, have some room either way to go. I do have some 10 foot wides. I actually have quite a few 10 by 20 backdrops that include the floor, and they're great, but they're a little much to handle in that space. Faux flooring is great. Rubber mats. A cheap place to get those is bargainoutfitters.com. They have 3 different options there. They're a little bit less expensive than some of the other places that you can find them. And they always have sales for free shipping and things like that too. Okay, here's some other views of our space. As you can see, as you look around these different images, we have 9 sets up. Some of them range in size of maybe 4 feet wide. It would probably be one of our more narrow, up to, like I said, maybe 10 feet for some of our backdrops. The brick wall here is an 8-foot backdrop by Denny. It's their Freedom Cloth, and it is my favorite backdrop we have. We also use decorativeceilingtiles.net to create a lot of our backdrops. The copper that you see up there, this one is from them. There it is. And then the one on the bottom right side is some tiles that we painted. We really enjoy those too. So like I said, our camera room is 300 square feet. In that amount of space, we have 8 to 9 sets up. And then we have 4 to 5 more backdrops that we can drop in really quickly. And so it's very versatile. We can get a lot of different looks in just a limited amount of time. We do have a model team to help represent our senior portrait studio, and we'll often have 8 of them come in over the course of the day, and we'll photograph we do a model shoot for them. And so we're having to mix up the backgrounds twice for each senior, so we'll do 16 different sets within a matter of 5 hours, and that includes makeup and hair and clothing changes and everything. So it's really important to me to have the versatility to mix things up really, really quickly. And one of the tips is to use every single inch of your space. This is also in our book. It's a do-it-yourself backdrop system. We have a 3-roller system in our studio. You can see the pictures here. It's really inexpensive. It's, I think, under $50. You probably need a good 2 or 3 hours to put it together, but it's very easy, inexpensive, works great. And it's not very permanent either. So you will be making some holes in your ceiling, but they won't be anything that you couldn't patch up easily if you move. Okay, I had a lot of questions on storage after the last one, so I kind of came up with a few ideas for you. Storage in a studio is probably a really big problem for most of us, and one of the ways that I think that we can utilize it is why not create one of your backdrops, so a portion of your studio, with a storage system. Now, if your storage system is cool looking, then it'll make a great backdrop. So you, again, that dual functionality, you'll have two uses out of that. These were a few ideas that I found that I think are great ideas. I don't think you have to go necessarily this extreme if you don't want to, but if you like to collect the vintage suitcases or crates that we'll look at later, you can probably have somebody, hire somebody or do it yourself, build a little storage system, some little cubbies that you can slide those items into, and I think these are awesome backdrops too. I would totally shoot in front of this. So think about some ideas for yourself and start collecting at secondhand stores, see what you can come up with. Suitcases are awesome storage containers because they're, of course, cute, and you can use them in your photos, and also they carry some of your props and things, some of your storage. I'm going to show you a collection of ours. These are some, we made all of these ourselves. We just got ugly suitcases hardcover from secondhand stores and then embellished them, painted them, made them look old-fashioned. This is one we did with a circus theme. And I just did all that with paint and some tape, and then I just freehanded the circus sign, and then I had a stencil for the little embellishments. It's been fun. And then we have some bright colored suitcases, super easy, just a bottle of spray paint and maybe tape off some areas.
Monica?
I love the ideas, some of these, yes?
I think we are stuck on the slide of there's 3 photos showing a backdrop and some equipment right now.
Oh,
can you see if you can pull down your visual, unshare your screen, and then share it one more time real quick?
You bet. Can you see that?
We can. Okay, perfect. I think we got stuck maybe about 3 minutes ago. The last slide.
Was this the last one?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, let me go
Sorry
through those
about
because it's not going to make, that's okay. It's not going to make sense if they're not seeing this. So
okay.
Let me go, I'll show you, this is our little backdrop system. So really, really simple. Some 2x4s and some, I think, electrical piping is what we made this out of, and some wing nuts and screws. Really easy. This is the wall that I was talking to you about, making some cubbies to store some trunks or suitcases or crates. Make a great storage solution for your studio and also a cool backdrop. And I'll show you again. Here's some of the suitcases that we've made. We just stuck a little frame on that white one and spray painted it pink and had a little cameo that we included in that. Here's the circus one. And there's our bright colored ones. And they're really inexpensive to do. Usually we buy them for about $5 a piece at secondhand stores, and then, can of spray paint. I can usually have one decorated in an afternoon. Okay, so that catches us up to here. A ladder, an antique ladder, I think is always a cool prop and look great in your studio. And if you photograph newborns, a nice idea might be to include your newborn blankets, because I know you newborn photographers collect a lot of those, and have those folded nicely on a cute little ladder that you could maybe even take out for some shots. So again, getting twice the function out of everything. I love this idea with the crates. Crates, we use crates quite a bit in our photographs, especially the stuff we do of children, and they're great to store blankets in or backdrops. This is by Amber Norris Photography, and I liked her usage of the vertical space. It looks like she's got kind of a short wall here, and then the ceiling bows up. So she's used that vertical space that she has, hangs her little tutus at the bottom and her cute little baskets and everything like that. And those little plastic bins, we have quite a few of those in our storage closet with the drawers in them, and I love those. We got into contact with the people at Able and Baker. They create these great little boxes that the front of them are designed with these vintage books, and then you can have a cubby holes made for them or whatever, so like a little bookcase. And I think this would also be a super cute backdrop that you could use for children or high school seniors. And look at all the storage that you would have. And you can buy these already made if you're not crafty, or what they've done is been able to just cut the books. Probably if you have a good saw or know somebody that does, you could just take some old books and cut them and nail them on some crates that you can make yourself or even pre-purchase. So I thought that was a great idea. Could use for a backdrop as well as some space. The other idea is that you don't have to store all of your props in your studio. This is in our home, in our common area that our clients walk through. We call them little vignettes, and they're little areas of our home that we decorate using our props. So if you have props that you like that could function as decor for your own home, I recommend doing this. It's super easy for us to grab one of the suitcases or a little chair or something like that and take down to the studio for our clients to use during their shoot, or we take these out on location frequently too. So if you invest in some pretty furniture that you would also like to use as props, you can get 2 uses again out of each of those. We also have a dressing room that's attached to our camera room, which I also love that we were able to do that so our clients can change and everything right in that area. But we were up against a couple challenges. Again, it was a bathroom. It wasn't necessarily meant to be a dressing room when we built the home. And we never used this room for our personal use. And so we decided to take the bathtub and turn it into a little changing bench. And so we just got a cheap piece of wood, actually from IKEA. It was all finished, one of their scraps that they have, I think for $2 or $3, and got it in about the same size, cut the corners just a little bit so it would sit on top of the bathtub. We covered it with some fabric, decorated it with some pretty pillows, put some recessed lighting up above the tub so it just kind of accentuates it, and then we framed it with some curtains. And our clients love it. We get compliments all the time on how much they think, how cute they think that is. Again, we include some water bottles, some extra, hair items for our clients. Okay, so we're really going to have to hurry. I'm just going to tell you a quick quote. My mom always used to say, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. And I modified this in our book, use it wisely, throw crap out, find a way, and make every inch count. So this is kind of the mantra that we live by at our studio. Using it wisely, we have a little area in our workbook. You can just do this at home as well. Go through your areas, designate, is this for family, is this for business, or is this for both? If the areas that you're not happy with, identify those and decide what you would ideally like to do with that area. Here's our list. You can see we have a lot of areas we use for both and a lot of areas just for business. Throw crap out. Definitely take the time to do this. If you're short on space, a lot of it's going to be because you have too much stuff, and a lot of the stuff you don't need. You can sell it. When we went through and converted our office to, or my husband's workout room to my office, we sold a ton of stuff. We haven't missed any of it, and we've gotten a lot more use out of the space this way. So eliminate your non-critical items. Really find a way. Okay, so put on your creativity caps, roll up your sleeves. I am a strong believer that where there's a will, there's a way. You can find a way to make things work. You can transform your challenges into advantages. One of our challenges is that people had to walk through our home to get down to our studio. I kind of hated this, but we decided, well, if we're going to have people walking through our home, they are going to see beautiful artwork, and they're going to be inspired by that to put in their own home. And so we invested in some beautiful large pieces for our own home. Again, they're of our daughter, so I don't mind looking at them all day, and our clients get inspired, and it works out great. Get an outside perspective. If you're stuck on your design, have somebody come in who you think is design savvy and just have them look at your space, and I think sometimes they can see things we don't. Start small. Do one area at a time. You don't need to decorate or redecorate your entire house yourself. And then I'm a big believer that you can teach yourself how to do almost anything. So YouTube, there's so many great do-it-yourself blogs. If there's something that you want to learn how to do, like refinish furniture, which most of my furniture is secondhand, and I've refurbished it myself, I've taught myself how to do that. This is our common area before we did our renovations on it. It was very modern, but it really wasn't applicable to our business or our brand. This is our space now. We changed the colors. It matches our brand. We put these cute little, this furniture in that we use for our sets downstairs. These are just some other views of some ways that we've kind of transformed our space. This was our camera room a few years ago. We had a lot of wasted space. Look at all that wall space we were wasting. It was great to show some of our pictures, but we didn't need to show our clients our pictures in our camera room. We needed the camera room to shoot in. And this is our space now. So we went from having maybe 2 or 3 sets to having 9 to 15. So we think about that when you're designing that particular area. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about achieving balance. Like I said, it's important to clearly designate all of your areas. Make sure that your areas are livable. I wish we had more time. This is this is kind of a big thing to go over quickly, but well, maybe we can do another one.
you can keep on going, and I'll ask the audience real quick. Do you guys want to continue through? I know we're getting near our normal hour of scheduled time, but I'm asking the audience right now, Monica.
Yeah,
and
see if they'd rather do that, or
I'm getting lots of yes, please continue. We would love that.
Okay.
So yeah, just keep on going and take your time. And okay. If people need to head out and dip out a little early, we'll just have the recording online for them.
Okay. All right. I'm okay on time, so if you guys are, we'll go forward here. Okay, I'll just tell, since we have time, I'm going to tell you a little story. I started out with my office in my kitchen, and I had a little 2-foot by 3-foot desk, and I operated my full-time business off that little teeny desk and laptop for about 3 years. And it was obviously getting to be a little too much. Felt like I was living there. Every time I wanted my family time in my kitchen, or our main family room is also in that area. It's a very wide open area, as you saw. Work was always staring at me in the face. It was just hard to shut off. So we made some decisions in our downstairs area. Like I said, we had my husband's workout room down there, and a dark room. Well, the dark room we didn't really need anymore. I wasn't using it. I have coveted darkroom equipment that I really didn't want to part with, but I decided that it would be best if I put that in storage and sold off the things that I didn't necessarily need. And then we put his workout room in that little dark room, and that opened up a great space for us to have our office and also a packaging area and things like that. So back on our list of spaces that you have, go through, and those spaces that you're just not happy with the way that they're being used, you can figure out a way to make that better for your situation. We've had to reinvent ourselves over and over again in the exact same space over the last 8 years. And I can't believe that we waited 8 years to do some of the things. So, we lived in a certain situation for year after year unhappily until we did something about it. And I'm sure we'll reinvent ourselves again. And so that's an important thing to keep in mind. And Also, a great tip for balance is you have to create a schedule. You know, when we work out of our home, we just don't have the luxury of clocking out at 5 o'clock and going home and, you know, just having everything be the way we want at home and then going off to work. Our work is meshing with our personal lives at all times. So creating a schedule really helps to relieve a lot of that stress. And what I mean by that is maybe have 1 or 2 days, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days that you only shoot, and maybe 1 or 2 of those days you're shooting in your home, and the other 1 or 2 you're shooting on location. And that way you're only having to worry about having your home clean 1 or 2 days out of the week. You only have to worry about what you're cooking for dinner 1 or 2 days out of the week. And that way you're not constantly infringing on your family time and your home every single day. If it's every single day, I would definitely get a retail space. If you're shooting that much, you should be making enough money to afford a nice retail space. So if you're not, if you're just spreading them out and having one shoot here and one shoot there, maybe think about consolidating your shoots. You know, for example, Wednesday, tomorrow, is the day that I designated for this week to have my studio shoots. So all of the people that wanted a studio shoot, I've put them in tomorrow, so I can just do back-to-back. And I only have one day that I'm going to have everything super clean. My other shoots are going to be on location this week. Your showings, if you can squeeze your showings into one day or squeeze them in to a couple days a week, that will help cut down on your prep time. And then if you have a schedule for your blogging and your social media and your marketing, a lot of us, we have to do everything ourselves, and it's a lot to worry about. I find that having a day set apart, for example, Mondays, I don't take clients for the most part. And I will use that day to catch up on my blog, to get all my shoots from the week before to the printer, or you know, do whatever. So set a schedule for yourself. It doesn't have to be in stone. It's not like you can't, you know, take a shoot if you absolutely need to, but it gives you somewhere to work from. Also, when someone calls to book a session, I think it makes you sound more professional if you have a schedule that you're trying to work within, instead of, you know, I can do whatever, you know, whatever works for you. I think it really helps to say, this is my schedule. You know, if you want a studio session, we're here on Wednesdays and Friday mornings or whatever. Give yourself and your family a break. Make sure that you have times, set times, and I'm not talking like just an hour or two. Give yourself some days off, especially weekends are highly, you know, treasured around our house. We work very occasionally on a weekend, maybe once every 2 months. And get help if you need it. If you're finding that you're really overwhelmed and you're not able to keep your home as clean as you would like, hire it out. I do that in our busy seasons where we are shooting every single day. I just can't keep up on everything, but I don't want my house or my family to suffer, or my you know, my home to be a disaster. And so I just have somebody come in during those times and clean my house, and it takes a huge, you know, burden off my mind. And then keep the bigger picture in mind. If you find yourself running ragged, you're feeling really unbalanced, just remember that, you know, your family is more important than your business. Maybe some people would disagree, but I think for the most part we all would agree that it's more important. Don't kill yourself for your clients. I have made the mistake of doing that, and in return gotten very little or nothing, or really gotten, you know, kind of ripped off in my mind, and wished that I hadn't sacrificed my family time or something along those lines. So just remember, business will be there. Family, you know, is your main concern. And I think all of us photographers go through a time when it's really hard to see that, because business is really exciting and it's new, but it is something that you really have to keep in check, and remember that it's not your life. It shouldn't be your whole life. Defining your success. So what is your definition of success? Is it the amount of sessions that you do? Is it how much you're making? Is it the fact that you get to do what you love? Do you enjoy your life? And are you making a difference for someone else? We're going to go through these really quickly. In our guide, we have a section where you can write down some of your goals. And there's 6 different categories: spirit and soul, which I think is really important, mind, body, your relationships, family, and finances, and business. And I think it's important to take a moment, if you can, and actually write down your goals, because it's really hard for you to know where you're going if you don't know where it is, if you don't know where your destination is. So just keep that in mind as you after this webinar, if you get a chance, write down some of your goals in the categories that you want to focus on most, and do your best to achieve those. For me, success is when I'm happy, when I'm healthy, when my family's happy and healthy. I think a lot of us can relate to the fact that we don't, maybe we've gone through periods of time when we haven't taken care of ourselves. I used to be an athlete all growing up, very competitive athlete, and then I found myself as a photographer, 20 pounds overweight, and my knees hurt so bad I could hardly walk up my stairs just a few years ago, and I'm not even 40 yet, and I was having arthritis pains that were excruciating, and I just was not taking any time for me. I was trapping myself in front of a computer or shooting all day, and it just wasn't, I wasn't balanced, and it was not happiness for me. So a couple years ago I decided, no more weekends, and I came up with a workout routine. Usually work out and start my work at 10 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes I'll go really early if I have a busy day. So make time for yourself. Take care of yourself, and you'll be a lot happier. Making the desired income and desired schedule. For me, success, it's more about my schedule than it is my income. I would rather personally make a little less and do it in the time frame that I want, that's set by me, not dictated by my clients, than making more. I could always make more money. I can always work more. The work is there if I want it, but it's just it's not important to me anymore. It was for a few years. I used to work nonstop, and for me it's not as important as having a life. So make sure you're charging enough for the times that you are working, so you don't have to work constantly to make your ends meet. And I also think for success for me is when at the end of the day I still have enough left to give, enough of myself to give to my family, enough to give to my community, enough to share with other photographers even. So for me that's really important. So I'm not always just drained to the point that I can't give anything to anyone else. So here's some 5 tips for your path to success. Firstly, don't be afraid. When I was experiencing a lot of imbalance, I was shooting a lot of weddings. That's kind of how we started out, as our bread and butter for a lot of years. And it was a lot of long hours, a lot of weekends, and I was not happy at all. And it was really scary for me to make the transition away from weddings, because it was our main source of income. I knew I loved photographing high school seniors, but I didn't really know how, if I could support myself on that. But we finally did make that transition, and we did it over the course of just a few months. We didn't take a long time, and to the point where we were, I did take one wedding last year based on like a really special request, but I've been able to transition away from it. And while it was scary, our first year specializing in seniors, we had almost double revenue than what we did on the weddings, and I was working the schedule that I wanted. So you just never know. On whatever you're being guided towards your passion, I think that that's where your greatest results and success will be found. that leads us to number 2, which is pay attention to the clues. That's going to sound kind of new age, but I think that there's a lot of clues around you. They can come from your body. If your body is hurting or you're sick, that might be a clue that things are imbalanced, that you're not doing what you love. If your family's unhappy, that's a big clue that something's not right. And so you need to sit down and pay attention to the things that are around you and change your life path to match that. Change your business path to match where you want to be in your life. And number 3 is go ahead and hate it. I used to get kind of stressed out because I would feel really burnt out on photography and just sick of it. Like I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't want to touch my camera on my day off. And for a while I put myself under a lot of stress because I felt so guilty about it and thinking, oh my gosh, if I hate it this bad today, if I allow myself to hate it, I'm gonna throw away all this work that I've done and all of this, equipment and things like that. What I learned is that it was totally okay to hate it for a while. I found that if I let myself go through that emotion of really just feeling burnt out and like I don't want to even check Facebook for fear that I might see something about photography on there, if you let yourself experience those emotions, you get over them a lot quicker rather than kind of holding them back and feeling like, oh, I really can't hate this today. I got to do this and I got to do that. That's where your schedule comes into play. Go ahead and just hate it for a few days, or make sure your weekends are open so you can just let go and not have to constantly, be stressed out about your photography. That sounds like an oxymoron to number 4, which is think positively. But I just wanted to mention that, it's totally okay that you get burnt out and that you hate it, and just go ahead and let yourself hate it for a little bit. And I guarantee a good night's sleep or a nice day off or a weekend with your family and friends, you'll be right back there, excited to learn, excited to get going again. It's totally natural that you'll go through those emotions. So number 4 is think positively. Always talk to your clients in a positive way. Talk about your business in a positive way. Your clients will feed off that. They're going to be excited for your company. When they ask you how business is going, make it sound great. Even if it's not great, make it sound great. Talk about the things that are going well, and that way it'll be contagious to your clients and lead you into a more positive direction as well. And then 5th, just be yourself. There are a lot of photographers out there. It's changed so dramatically from the time that I went into photography, where all the studios were run by men, and they were, in my mind, just so what they had built for themselves was so huge and unattainable to have this clientele, and they all looked like they had tons of money and big, huge studios. I was really intimidated to get into this field. And it's completely changed. WPPI, I've been going for the last 5 or 6 years, and just noticed the tremendous change just in that little time. So there's a lot of competition out there, but just be yourself. Definitely be inspired by other photographers, but don't compare yourself against them. Every single one of us has something totally unique to offer. You need to spend a good amount of time finding your own path, and not necessarily just relying on maybe what somebody else has done or how they're pricing or how they're shooting this or that. Make sure that you take some time away from Facebook and away from the computer and get out in your free time and do photography for the love of it, and figure out where your strengths are and try new techniques and develop your own style. And just be yourself. Make sure you brand your company around who you are, and that way it'll always be unique, because nobody can be just like you. That's the end. Like I said, if you guys want to take a look at our studio, I put together a little video tour at studiothoughtsauce.com/tour. And if you would like to download the slides from today, I'll get to that in one second. this is where you can get our book. We have it on sale for $19.99. Like I said, it's a little workbook, and it goes through a lot of these things we talked about today and has some spots for you to write your goals and the different areas of your home that you would like used. And down at the bottom here, you can see our slides are available on our freebies page. You can get that and our consultation checklist on facebook.com/Studio Thought Sauce, and then just click on the freebies page, and you can download those for the next, several weeks. Okay, so if you guys don't have, well, I guess you guys might have some questions, so let's go ahead with some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been quite a few questions that have come in, and first off, let me thank you again, Monica, for taking your time, and thank all the everyone in the audience for joining us today. So if you have any questions, go ahead and just send them directly over inside of the chat window, and I'm going to direct them over to Monica. So Monica, I should have assigned you some questions in there if you want to check that out. And if you want to just read the question out and then answer the question there, that'd be awesome.
All right. Well, I'll start out. We have a great question from Emma. She asks, how do you manage childcare while you're working in your studio? Do you have a child at another location when clients are in your studio? That's a great question. I only have one child, so I suppose I'm a little bit easier, have an easier situation than maybe some of you, and it's a girl, and she's really mellow and independent. So sometimes when I shoot in my home, when I have a studio shoot, she'll actually just hang out in her room. We have her set up with, Netflix and various things to keep her occupied. If it's a shoot that's more than an hour, then I'll usually find babysitting for her, usually a family member, or she'll go over to a friend's. But I do think it's important to definitely have some child care. You don't want your kids running around while you're doing an ordering appointment and coming in and interrupting you. Mine's pretty well trained not to at this point, but if you have really little ones, I would maybe see if a neighbor, you could run them over to a neighbor's house during those times. Okay, I have a question from Gina. She asks, have you had the issue where they only wanted the edited images, nothing printed? If so, how do you price this? Yeah, I've gotten that issue a few times. Not so much anymore, because we really try to educate them from that very first client experience on the website all the way till we schedule their appointment on the phone where we're talking about this. So if they do just want the files, they can purchase the files. We do make them available, but they're going to pay pretty good for them. So we'll price them, usually about $200 a piece for the images, but it kind of depends on how many to order. But I usually try to sway them away from just that. And also we have a build your own collection where they can add on digital images into their collection, and that kind of appeases both things. So they're getting a collection, they're purchasing some prints and some other products from me, and then adding on digital images, and I still make money on them as well. So that's how we get around it. Okay, question from Holly, the Brag Mag. Which product do I use to order? It would be, she must be looking at blurb.com. It's just their regular soft cover book. I call it a magazine, but I don't think they do. And it's 8.5 or 8 by 10 is the one we use. Bonnie asks, this is a great question. What does she recommend for the wall color and ceiling color? If you are having your home studio in an area where you can have just plain white, I would definitely go for it. You don't want to deal with color casting. I even get that because I have so many backdrops up that sometimes I will get color casting off the backdrops next to the set. And so you do have to be careful with that, but ceilings, in my opinion, especially in a shooting area, should be white. That way you're at least not dealing with the light off of that. Scott Russell asks, where do we get our backdrops? We get them from all different places, but my favorites, I really like Denny Manufacturing. I love their Freedom Cloth. The brick wall is one of our favorites, and so versatile. We use it with every type of portrait we do. And we use PhotoPie. They've produced some of our larger backdrops, and I really like the fact that a lot of them include floors, so I can get a really good mix of looks with those too. And I've ordered from some other places, but those are probably the two I would personally check out first. And then we have a lot of fabrics that we get from just local fabric stores. We have a question from Bonnie who asks if you're not able to finish your basement, what's the best way to cover up wall studs and insulation? Hopefully you are able to put a clear plastic over them. They should already have that, but if they don't, I believe you can get that at Home Depot and just staple it onto your studs. And first of all, just because you don't want to be breathing the insulation in at all, so make sure that's all sealed up. And then I suppose you could just, we staple a lot of our backdrops up because I don't know, it creates really small holes, so we don't usually nail anything up. Staples are super unobtrusive, I think, and so we actually just staple most of our backdrops up to the wall. I think you could get backdrops that measure approximately fit with your stud range, and then just apply them, staple them right up to your studs, right along them. So you could probably do that at least to get you by until you're able to refinish your basement. How many hours do I work a week on average? This is a question from Emma. Oh, that's hard to quantify. But I would say a typical day for me, Monday through Friday, is I'll usually start about 10 o'clock. Because like I said, I like to get some exercise in the morning. And I work till 3, pretty much solid on the computer. That's when I'll do my editing, my social media, blogging, marketing, all of those things. And then I have to pick my daughter up at 3 o'clock. And most of my shoots are in the evenings, and so I'll either take her to a babysitter, or sometimes my husband will stay and I'll have one of my assistants help me. So I would say, I probably work between 30 and 40 hours a week is really pretty general for me. Do we incorporate music into our studio photo shoots, especially with our seniors? This is a question from Wanda. We do. I've heard on some of the boards, some of the groups we're in, that you're not supposed to use your own personal playlists to have playing in your studio. And I'll probably get sued now, but I don't know. I just figure it's like my home, you know, and so I'll put on my favorite playlist. I purchased my music legally. I know that there's been some hype about you should have a commercial license. I don't sell my music that I, you know, from these people that I listen to. If I'm doing something I'm selling, a product I'm selling, I will always make sure that that music has a royalty-free license or commercial license that I've purchased. But for me, just listening to music in my home, and my client just happens to be there, I just include my favorite playlist. Or I encourage my seniors to bring their iPods, and they can just plug them right into our system, and we listen that way. I think you can get too caught up in all that stuff, so I'm pretty casual about it. But I also do create my own music. So we create music for our own web shows and stuff like that. So sometimes we play that. Question about how do you balance if you work a full-time day job as well as your photography business? This is from Heidi. That's an excellent question. I personally haven't ever had to do that. I quit my day job when we built the studio and when I wanted to start my family. But the best suggestion that I can give you is make sure that you don't take on too much. Make sure that it's a situation where you're not having to work at your photography all weekend long, because for me that just sounds horrible to work full-time all week and then the rest of your time is on photography. That transition I know would be very difficult. If there's a chance for you to go part-time and start to take on more work, photography work during the day, and then ease out of it, that would be great. I'm sure that that's not the case for most of you though. I would say work as much as you can and still stay sane and happy doing both, and save up some money to the point where you feel comfortable that you could survive on your photography work. And you have to remember that once you do it full time, you will be making more, you will be attracting more clients because you're going to be able to put a lot more of your time into it. So there might be a little bit of a time where you're feeling that lag or that deprivation of income, but I think that that could be made up fairly quickly if you just really hit it hard and make sure you have some great marketing in place and some promotions or something where you can make that transition. So that goes into maybe just not being afraid, taking that leap, and you know, having that confidence. Darty asked me a question, and the answer is yes, but I'm not going to tell you what the question is. I would love to, Darty. I love sync. Okay, and I have a question. I think it's the final question I have on here. Do you own your own post-production, or do I do my own post-production on my photos? I currently do my own post-production. I'm a minimalist. I like to do it quick. I use Lightroom to get through them. I pretty much shoot everything how I want it to look. I'm not really big into lots of filters or, you know, do anything too funky to my images. They're pretty clean, pretty natural. Of course, some enhancements are great, but we use Lightroom to go through the bulk of it. I can edit an entire session, have it exported, and be beautiful within an hour, ready to show to a client. There are some things that like I said, I have a plan for my consultations, so if I want to put together a storyboard or something, or a little magazine cover, I'll dump those into Photoshop and create something fun for my clients to see and spend maybe another half an hour. If you shoot well at the beginning, hopefully you don't have to spend a lot of time before you show your clients their work. Before we go to print, I spend maybe 3 minutes per image to get them ready for print. I don't spend a lot of time, but I use Kubota Actions, and they are excellent and give me a really consistent look all across the board with our images and very quickly. So I'm like maybe 3 to 5 minutes at most on one image ever, unless it's something, you know, really particular that I need to work on, like braces or something like that. Okay, any other questions on your side, Danny? I think that's...
Yeah, I think, I might have sent a couple more through. I read as you mentioned that, which it was the previous question, a couple more rolled in. So we'll answer those, and then we'll wrap everything up. So
okay.
let me go through and see what I assigned to you. Hang on just a moment.
You want me to? I see some.
Yeah, there's one from Catherine about how do you build a client base beyond your friends, family, and neighbors when you're just starting out?
Okay. Well, I think that that's the most logical way to get started. So definitely use that to your max. The second way is when I first started, we actually didn't have Facebook, but I think Facebook is really key for our business, especially where we're working with the youth. The high school seniors. Facebook is our It's our bread and butter, basically. So much of our business comes through our Facebook interactions. So I would come up with a really engaging Facebook page. You know, if I just had to start from scratch, that's what I would do. I would definitely network with almost every person you know. And I don't necessarily believe that you should give away the farm and do everything for free. Especially products, I don't think you should ever do for free, but if you want to do some shoots to start building your base, it kind of depends on what market you're looking to get into, but for example, high school seniors, one of the things that we did, we kind of started from scratch because really seniors were not a big thing in our area even just 3 years ago when we started specializing in seniors. And so we just created a really aggressive Facebook campaign. We had very few fans, but we had a few. And one of the things we did is we ran a contest. We gave away a rock star session, which is a $500 session. It includes hair, makeup, manicure, pedicure, and a brag mag. And a few hours of shooting, so it's really a high value to them. And we gave one to a boy and one to a girl. And they had to enter on our Facebook page and get votes. And the voting just went crazy. And we built our fan base really quickly that way through voting. And I don't know if that's legal anymore. We haven't done that for quite a while on Facebook. But just make sure you check out Facebook's rules on contests, because I know they're more stringent than they were back then. But maybe run something like that, something where you can get lots of friends active. For us, we have a model team. I think that there's no reason you couldn't have a similar type of program for moms with, you know, children. If you do newborns, have a little, you know, not mamarazzi, but like a mama something team, you know, where they go out and they promote for you, and that you reward them with free session or free wall portrait or something like that if they refer so many people. So I think that's a good way. Just really network like crazy. Use Facebook as much as you can. Okay, I see this last one here from Christy. Do you do any consulting business reviews? Sure. we do. We kind of just taken that one on a client by client basis, because I need to kind of know your background before we can put a plan together, and the plan would vary depending on what you're specialized in. So you can just contact us, me directly at monica@photoumbra.com, and we can chat about some ideas. And of course, if there's any other questions, you guys are more than welcome to ask them on our Facebook page, or if you could ask that on our Studio Thought Sauce page, though, not our senior page, that would be great. Or just email me directly. I'm more than happy to help anybody.
Well, thanks again, Monica, for joining us today and taking the time to put together an awesome presentation for everybody. And thank you for all the audience who joined us today. I'm going to go ahead and get started working on editing this video and placing it on our YouTube channel. So I know some of you guys joined in a little late or had to step out of the room while we were doing some question and answer time. So thank you again, and we hope you guys really enjoy these webinars that we've been hosting over the past couple of months, and your feedback is really critical to us. So definitely drop by the PhotoBiz Facebook page and leave us a comment. It's just facebook.com/PhotoBiz. You can find us on there. So again, if you left us some feedback, we'd really appreciate that. And there's also, you're going to get a follow-up email just about some feedback about the webinar. So if you have time to do that, we would really appreciate that as well. So thank you again, Monica. Always a pleasure to speak with you and listen to you speak. It's you always have a good presentation for everybody.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and close down the webinar. And if you have any additional questions about anything for Monica, again, she's got all of her contact info here. And if you have any questions for me, you can email me directly at danny@photobiz.com. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll have the video up online in just a few hours. Thanks.